Hey everyone, it's Dave from BC Bushcraft here, and today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made this reciprocating saw knife. It's from a reciprocating saw blade. This is the saw blade that I used, and I'll just give you the rundown on how I came to make this knife. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is the knife that I had created out of the just a standard reciprocating metal saw blade. This was a fun project that I decided to do. I had seen some other videos and some people commenting on how you could create your own knife out of saw blades or reciprocating saw blades, and I decided to try it. And this knife turned out really, really, really nice. It's super sharp. I can shave hairs with it. I'll give a demonstration on just how well this performs in a bit, but I'll just give you a rundown on the dimensions and how I did this. So the knife itself is close to 6 inches long. The handle is about 4 inches, with the blade being about 1.75 inches, I'd say. I know I'm going to talk between inches and millimeters. That's just, I'm Canadian, so that's what we do here. So how I did this is I took this exact same sort of reciprocating saw blade, and all I used was hand tools. I used a hacksaw and a file to get the profile that I wanted. I kind of did this. This is very similar to my Mora companion. What I did, the belly is a little more shallow on the Mora companion than on the knife that I made, but it's quite similar in design. What I did is I laid out my knife. I'll just wait for that bush plane to go by. So what I did to get the general layout of how I wanted my knife is that I just rested my dog wants to play. Go get it. I rested my Mora companion over top of the sawzall or reciprocating saw blade, and you can see in general it's the same width this way. It's half the thickness though, so it's going to be a weak blade, and that's why I kept the blade length so short, because it's flexy. These blades, they're tough, but they're quite flexy, so having a bigger knife blade than what I have, it's a little bit too bendy for me, so I wanted to keep it quite small. And what I did is I overlapped the knives. I marked out, you can just scratch the surface quite easily with a nail or something. Mark out your general guide for your knife, and then I took a hacksaw, cut off a little bit of the excess. I then took a hacksaw and made really small cut to take all of the teeth off of it. So you can see here, the blade's a little thinner width after it, but I hacksawed basically from the tip all the way down to here just to take the teeth off. It's very hard to file these teeth down. If I don't have a grinding stone or anything to grind it with, that's another option to take the teeth out, but I don't have it, and I did this all with hand tools. So once you have your general shape to your knife, what you can do is then start to take a file and get how the profile of your blade to a little bit sharper, and it will come out something like this. And you can just shape it how you want to design your knife. It's quite easy to work this metal with a file, just the teeth are hard to do so, but everything else is really easy to do with a file. So it didn't take much time to get the shape I wanted, and all I did was decide how long I wanted my handle, and I suggest that I don't really know how to put like a wooden handle on here yet to have a bigger knife. So I basically wrapped my hand around it, figured that that would be about right, and then just kind of made my handle. And what I made my handle is with electrical tape. I did 1 layer or 2 layers of electrical tape underneath the jute twine that you see. And then I created these 2 ridges just with electrical tape. And then I wrapped jute twine in between it to give it a little bit more of a comfortable feel. This handle I might redesign a bit. It's slipping a tiny bit, but it's in there quite well. And I figured this is really, really comfortable design. I know people will wrap these with paracord and stuff, but I find paracord wraps, 1, they come off really easily, and 2, they're not as comfortable. You need a pretty thick handle on this for it to be comfortable to carve with. If you just put a single thing of paracord on it, it's not really that nice to work with. And I don't think people try these knives that they make as much as I have. I've done some really good testing with this, and it's surprising how well this performs, and I'll show you in a bit. But basically, it's a really small blade, as you can see, compared to the more companion, and it's 1 millimeter thick. Well, this is 2 millimeters thick, and it's more of like a carving utility knife / survival knife or prison shank. Just kidding. But it's not hard to make. It only took about a night. And after I had got my blade shape the way that I wanted it, I started to profile the edge with a file. Once I had filed it into a sharp enough point, I started to work it on stones. Went from stones down to my diamond sharpener, and then from diamond sharpener I went to a straw. And this thing is razor sharp. I actually nicked myself when I was testing it out and cut a flap of skin off. But that's the way it goes. So it's surprising that this has become an actual functional knife that like I can bring and do bushcraft with and carve with. And I'll just go from there and I'll demonstrate it. One more thing I forgot to add is that I do have this sheath that I made for my other neck knife, and this knife fits in perfectly. Something that I can hang on my neck, tie onto my belt, tie on wherever I wanted it to. I can also, the way that I designed it, I can secure it in with the shoelace that is the necktie, like that. That keeps it from falling out. And I've reinforced the bottom with electrical tape on the outside and the inside to prevent the knife from sliding through. Eventually I'll have to redo that, but that's okay. If you want to see, I had modded this from an old knife, and I had sewed it and stuff like that, and it was in my other video. But anyways, this is a nicer setup than my other knife, so I'm going to use this sheath with this knife now. So from there, I'm going to show you just how well this thing functions. I saw videos of guys making this online, and they didn't really show the capabilities. One, because I don't think guys know how to sharpen it too well, and they kind of just use it on the grinder and like, yeah, it's a survival knife, and then they just kind of throw it in whatever stays in the garage. But I'll show you how well this thing can actually function. So first off, this tip is really strong, and you can do knife splitting with this tip. It's quite shocking, actually, the ability that you have with this knife. So I have 3 pieces of wood. They're quite thick. It's quite a thick piece of wood. And I'll attempt to split this with the knife. Not quite, but so that is splitting. That's pretty thick. I mean, for the size of a knife, this tip is really strong. I almost feel safer doing this type of stuff with this knife than I do with my Mora. And you know, it's working pretty good. You can see that I can split good sized things with this. You know, you just need a little bit of technique. You kind of just work it like that. Your knife will, you know, your knife can split good sized wood like that, right? So that's one. And the tip is still good. Hasn't broken, hasn't lost its sharpness or anything. So now I'll take one of these pieces and I'll just show you how it feathers. Beautiful curls. You know, I'm not putting much effort into here. I did round out the this edge here a little bit so I could put my thumb on it for carving tasks. You know, look at those nice curls. Super fine. Very easy to do with this knife. Shocking. So this is gonna be a great carving knife. I'll just carve this into a point just to show you. Just how well this thing carved. And it's all down to the sharpening process. I kind of did it's more like a convex / Scandi, I guess. It's hard to get it perfect with hand tools, but you know, check out that point that I was able to do on that. And I spent more time sharpening this than I did building the rest of it. So it comes down to how much time you put into making a sharp edge. But these things will perform like just as good as my Moras. And my Moras are sharp too. The only thing is it's a little thin and the blade is small, but I mean, for carving tasks, you know, you can really bite in. You want to create a notch. You can really bite in. And, you know, you can make your traps. This is such a good survival utility knife. I can't believe it. I can't believe that I made something like this out of a reciprocating saw blade. It's awesome. So to end everything off, like, this knife is, you know, it's a functional, real option for you guys to make. It's kind of a survival knife. I wouldn't suggest doing anything too heavy. I went a little bit heavy on the things that I did. It's more for carving and stuff like that. But the blade length and everything is really good for carving. Get your hands on it well. And yeah, hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. This is Dave from BC Bushcraft, and I'll catch you on the next one.